First of all, I suppose it's a bit curious to hear the Labour Party, a party traditionally known for wanting a larger state, more spending and potentially, yes, higher taxes, criticise a tax move. Have both these parties sort of changed clothes?
Well, I think that's a characterisation which really isn't in fact true. What the Labour Party wants is a high growth economy. And in the past 12 years, we've had a low growth economy. And by a high growth economy, you get a bigger portion, a bigger tax base if you want. So on that, people tend to pay less tax because of a higher economic growth. We've had 12 years of austerity, which hasn't helped. There's been lack of investment in the public and the private sector. That feeds into the broad general, if you want, the macroeconomic situation. So it isn't just about now, it's how we got here in the first place. And just one other point, remember, we bailed out the banks to the tune of £1.3 trillion in one fashion or another, with loans, guarantees. A significant part of NatWest is still in public ownership. So if we can do it in that situation, we can. The worst health crisis that anybody can remember has cost £400 billion. It's going to last for years, and the government have got to have a plan, not just the next year or 2 years, to get it out of that situation, overlaid with the cost of living crisis as well.
So your solution to this particular problem of funding catch-up NHS care, of funding social care in the short term would be to increase borrowing in the hope that there'd be more growth and then the tax receipts would rise naturally without the need for tax rises in the medium to long term?
Well, I mean, it's part of it, but I think it's got to be part of a solution that this fixation that the £400 billion that we've, in a sense, spent on COVID is, it's got to come to an end immediately. The sooner we get rid of it, the quicker. Well, our lesson from austerity from 2010 to now is that you don't rush into those sorts of things because it is counterproductive. So it isn't simply a question of saying, let's just borrow more. It's a question of having a plan over a longer period of time to withdraw from that. Now, what we found with the government, it's virtually missed all its fiscal targets. It's virtually missed every time it says we want to get borrowing down. It never hit the target. I can't remember how many George Osborne had. I can't remember how many Philip Hammond had. Rishi Sunak's most probably the same. It's not about the immediacy of trying to sort this problem out. It's having a medium and long-term plan which includes economic growth within the economy more broadly. And as I said, investment in the economy. That's how we're going to solve this problem, not these quick fixes.
I suppose what the Conservative Party would say to that is that by 2015, the UK was the fastest growing economy in the G7. By 2019, the debt was falling as a proportion of GDP. The current budget, not investment, but the current budget was in surplus. And of course, since then, there's been a pandemic that has really rather knocked everything out of kilter. What would your response to that be?
Well, that's all the more reason why you have to have a sort of a plan which is both short, medium and long term. The bottom line is, over that period of 12 years, I accept that we had fits and starts in terms of growth, but we're now dipping back down. And I don't want to take 1 year or 2 year. I want to take a 10, 15, 20-year approach to the economy. And unfortunately, the government don't take that approach to the economy, whether it's in its investment, the public investment, or investment in public services. It doesn't take that approach. And another thing I think I might have mentioned in the past, we've got best part of £400 billion worth of tax reliefs, which are just there. And there needs to be a proper review of them, because many of those tax reliefs, like the entrepreneurs' tax relief, according to the IFS, the Resolution Foundation, are pretty much wasted. So you've got this huge sum of money, maybe £2 billion, going to a fairly limited number of people without any significant impact on the economy. They're the sort of things in that medium to long term that we've got to resolve as well.
What do you make of what the Health Secretary, Sajid Javid, was telling us earlier today, that the lowest paid 70% of workers in the UK will actually from today be paying less national insurance than they did last year. And it's only the top 30% of those earners who are going to be paying more, who are going to be affected by this levy, thanks to the threshold rise.
Well, the bottom line is overall they're still going to be paying more. Let's take someone in the NHS, on average £27,000 a year income in the NHS. They're going to be paying £177 extra a year. That's actually an 8% increase in their payments. That's going to take best part of 1.2 million people in the NHS. That's going to take best part of 150, maybe 200 million pounds out of their pockets. And the NHS itself is then going to have to pay its share of the national insurance contribution hike, which is going to be another 150 million. So all that money taken out of either the NHS or the pockets of NHS workers, and that goes right across the country. And it's not a good position to be in. After all, the government did promise they weren't going to put VAT and national insurance or income tax. And lo and behold, what have they done? Well, the facts speak for themselves.
We are in a remarkable situation whereby the right-wing backbench Tory rebels are in complete agreement with you, Peter Dowd, Labour MP for Bootle and former Shadow Chief Secretary to the Treasury. It's a remarkable coalition of the Labour Party and some rebellious Conservatives, although, of course, it's a coalition that failed. The Conservatives have raised that tax, and that starts today. Peter Dowd, thank you so much for talking us through those issues.